So, Coach Will Button.
Let's do it. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No, seriously, thank you all for coming, especially early on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Turns out it wasn't at 8 a.m. when I got here, because at first I was here at like 7:45. No, you didn't. I just made it up in my mind somewhere, but I got here at 7:45. I had everything set up, and at 7:50 no one was here, and then at 7:55 no one was here. And then at 8 o'clock I was like, fuck, this is off to a rough start. Then at like 8:20 Kevin shows up. At 8:20 Kevin starts strolling in, and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, I don't know, really. So anyway, thank you guys for coming out. So I just want to talk about like a basic overview of the challenge today, because it's quite different than a lot of the challenges we've done in the past. You know, in the past we focused just on nutrition, and the nutrition part of the challenge, you know, we've done really, really well. But it seems like for a lot of us, myself included, you know, we do a 30-day challenge, and then by the end of day 31, I have completely derailed 30 days of work, right? And I think we do that in a lot of areas. And so that's what this challenge is kind of designed around addressing, is there's all of these different competing areas in your life. And so we're going to focus on talking about those areas and how you balance all of them out for long periods of time, not long like 30 days, but long like 30 years. And so one of the topics that came up across this is like, this is maybe a horrible time to do this, you know, because I don't know about y'all, but for some of us, 2020 has not been the most fantastic year, right? And so some people have said, well, why would you do that in the midst of all this? And I think actually that's the perfect time to do it, because we're in the midst of chaos, and there's no guarantee that there's going to be an end to the chaos in the near future. But the one thing, we can't control what's going on around in the environment or what's happening around us, but the only thing that we can control is our reaction to it. And so that's one of the things we're going to focus on during this challenge, is regardless of what's going on around us, we can have our tasks set out for us. We know what we want to accomplish, and we can focus on accomplishing those, and then just disregard everything else that's happening. Not to say that it's not important, but to say that that's not the focus of our attention. One cautionary note before we get started. This is not a substitute for professional help. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a certified fitness professional. There's actually a long list of things that I'm not. Most of the things that I do get recognized being for aren't really appropriate to call out in a group of people, to be honest. You know, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is not a substitute for professional help. This is just like covering some of the basic things, you know, like the owner's manual for the human body. You know, it's like the things that we should all know about our body and how to deal with it that no one ever told us. And so that's what we're focusing on here. And, you know, kind of like an owner's manual for a car, the owner's manual doesn't tell you how to overhaul the engine. It just tells you, like, here's how you do the basic day-to-day stuff. And if this light comes on, you go see a professional about it. And that's kind of our goal here. So there's this concept I have that I've come up with over the last few years. And it's like this idea of like these 5 spinning plates, right? Y'all have all seen the circus performers or whatever who have the plates and they put them on a stick, you know, and they make them spin, and they put that one down and they go over and they put another plate on there and they get it to spinning, you know, and so they keep all of these plates spinning. And so the concept there is like you get this plate spinning, and then you can go off and you can start another plate spinning. But if you spin too long away from the other plates, they start to wobble, right? And if you let them wobble enough, then they actually just fall off. And when they fall off, they break. And it's kind of the same thing that goes on in our life. And you can see that thinking about our past nutrition challenges. You know, for 30 days, we focused really hard on our nutrition, and we got that plate spinning. You know, it was spinning really fast and it was nice and stable. Meanwhile, we had ignored some of the other areas of our life, and they were starting to wobble. So at the end of the 30-day challenge, we identified that, and we go and we focus on those. But the nutrition plate started Sorry about that. So yeah, the last thing about mental toughness is it's really about goal setting and micro goal setting, you know? So whenever you have this chaotic environment around you, you know, it may be a stretch, like you have this one goal that's going to take you all day, but then your day gets chaotic. It's about learning to recognize that and set shorter, smaller goals. And this is something that I learned whenever I used to do 24-hour racing. So you would ride for 24 hours, but to think about riding for 24 hours, you can't really wrap your head around that, and you can't really like make that a goal. So you have to break it down and think, okay, I'm going to ride for, you know, the next hour. I'm going to do one more hour of riding, and then I'll reevaluate, you know, and then after like 16, 18 hours into this, you're like, okay, I'm not focused on the next hour. I'm focused on just the top of this hill that I can see. And so it's continuing to recognize your goals and break it down into smaller and smaller tasks, regardless of what those tasks are, because it always keeps forward momentum. The next spinning plate is the community. And that's, you know, the CrossFit Four Peaks community. It's your family, it's your friends, it's your coworkers, it's your online acquaintances, it's all of the people that you interact with. And I think this is one that we've really not focused on as a society for about the last 40 years or so, you know, because used to, like, communities were more tightly knit, you know, and people knew their neighbors, and like your, you know, whenever you got a job, you had these mentors who would, like, you know, show you how to do what you want to do, and they would, you know, train you and educate you and teach you all the things you didn't learn about in school. And so the part of that applies to us here is in the CrossFit Four Peaks community, there are a ton of resources that we have and that we can provide to each other. And so one of the things we're going to focus on in this is identifying who those resources are and what's available, and just start to share that information and build a tighter community around that. Because, you know, maybe you want to, you know, build a business that runs without you. We have people here who have done that. Or if you want to lose 50 pounds, we have people here who have done that. Or if you want to self-publish your own book, we have people here who can do that. Or if your kids are interested in, you know, a particular skill. And this one, you know, one day, Mike Norton's kid, Reese, came up to me, and he was asking me about, you know, nuclear engineering and nuclear power plants and what it was like to operate a nuclear power plant. And I was like, wow, this is such a great question for some old dude who's done that. And I was like, fuck, I am that dude, you know? But it's like this, you know, it's this way, because like whenever I left school, you know, or left high school, I was just like, you know, and just kind of stumbled my way around because I didn't know anyone who had done these things. And so those resources here exist, and we can use them. So whether it's, you know, somebody for your kids to ask a question to, or even you personally, you know, if you're looking at trying to change jobs or start a side business or, you know, do something along those lines, the community exists. We just have to tap into it. And the last spinning plate, we're not going to cover in a challenge, but I do want to touch on it, and it's money. Just because there's no way to get by without money unless you know, become a monk and move to the Tibetan mountains and just meditate for the next 40 or 50 years. Aside from that, you're going to have to deal with money. And so that's one of the spinning plates, because I don't think it's like, you know, I don't think it's the goal. You know, the goal is, for me personally, everyone can have their own goals. The goal is not to have, like, you know, like Jeff Bezos type money, but it does have to, like, support the minimum lifestyle. And so it has to be addressed, because if you choose to ignore it, then the other areas of your life start to suck because of that. So that's all I'll say about that one. So those are the 5 areas, the 5 spinning plates. And I think it's important that you address each one of them and keep all of them spinning on their stick, because whenever they start to wobble and they break, it just makes life hard for you. So the 5, again, were physical fitness, nutrition, mental toughness, community, and money. All right, so now on to the details of the challenge. First question everybody wants to know is, how do I win? Right? you win the personal satisfaction of being crowned the 2020 Corona champion. So winning in this challenge, it's going to be done on a task basis. Like every day, there's going to be a series of tasks that you have to complete. The tasks to begin with are going to be drink a gallon of water, and we'll cover all these in detail here. Drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages from a book, work out for 45 minutes, and follow your meal plan, right? And then there's some surprise tasks that I'm going to throw in along the way, but they're surprises, so I can't tell you what they are, right? So how do you win? You win by completing those tasks, and each one is worth a point. We add up points at the end. But winning, more importantly, is done on a personal level, because we have these daily tasks because there's this idea of winning the day, right? You know, accomplishing a goal that you set for yourself 10 years from now doesn't happen in 10 years. It happens today and tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. And so it's really important to think about breaking goals down to daily goals and just winning that day. And so the idea of these tasks are, you have these tasks that you have to perform during the day. And if you check all of those off, you've won the day, right? And that's all that matters, because today is all that you had. You might not get tomorrow, but today you won. And then if you get up tomorrow and you saw that you won yesterday, it kind of gives you a little motivation and momentum to go for back-to-back wins. And then you go for 3, and then you go for 4, and then you build this streak of winning the days. And then once you get, you know, a streak of like, you know, 7 or 8 days, well, then you kind of become a little possessive about it. So you do whatever it takes to keep doing that because you don't want to break the streak. And eventually it's going to, yes?
But it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay if some days it doesn't happen, right? Because sometimes shit just gets in the way. And so if someday you don't get all of the check boxes, that's okay, because tomorrow you get another chance. And it's just the way it goes sometimes, you know? Tom Brady didn't win the Super Bowl every year, even though he wanted to, right? But he's still a pretty decent guy and pretty successful guy, regardless, whether you like him or not. I mean, so the concept, so we've got these daily tasks that we're going to do for 45 days. And so at the beginning, they're going to be, you know, 4 distinct tasks, right? I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and so on. But I want you to think back to when you first learned how to drive, right? So when you first got into the car, you had the steering wheel, you know, and you're like, okay, I do the steering wheel thing, and then there's the gas pedal thing, and now I got to push the brake to make it stop going, and if I'm going to turn, I've got to find the turn signal. And you had all these individual components, right, that made up driving. And God forbid a shitty song come on the radio, because you've got too many other things going on to actually deal with messing with the radio and changing the radio station. But now, after you've been driving for a few years, you know, you do it on autopilot. You don't even think about it. You're driving, you're using your turn signals, you're using your gas, you're changing the radio station, you're texting, you're putting on your mascara. And meanwhile, you've got this whole conversation going on in your head about something not even related to driving, right? So what happened? What happened is, once your body masters, or once your mind masters individual tasks that are related, it no longer treats them as individual tasks. It just groups them into one thing. So pressing the gas pedal, pressing the brake, using the steering wheel, using the turn signals, all became lumped into this one task that you now call driving. And the same thing's going to happen with these tasks that we do over the 45-day challenge. They're going to start to blur together, and it's not going to be drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages from a book, follow my meal plan, work out for 45 minutes. It's just going to all lump together into my daily routine, right? And so then it's not these individual things that you have to think about. It's just part of your routine. It's part of what you do. And so then you lump it into one task, and now you've freed up 4 slots to add 4 other things in your life that you want to address. So that's how you win. It's a long answer to a short question. That tends to happen with me. Who knew? All right, so let's go into detail on the first one, drinking 1 gallon of water per day. There's a couple reasons for that. You know, there's the obvious health benefits to it. You know, drinking water provides lubrication for your joints. It helps carry vitamins and nutrients throughout your body. It keeps your tissues and muscles lubricated. It's good for your skin. All that kind of stuff is great. No downside to that. But that's not the real reason it's in this challenge. It's in this challenge because it's actually going to become a mental task for you, right? It's going to teach you how to prioritize, because drinking a gallon of water is a pretty significant task. And if you're going to check that box off, you have to drink that gallon of water before midnight. So if it's 11 p.m. and you're looking at a half a gallon there and you want to check that box, we all know who's going to be up peeing all night long, right? So what it does is it teaches you that if you have this task, you've got to be mindful and prioritize that task throughout the day. You can't wait till the last minute to check this task off. Well, you can, but there's, you know, penalties associated with it. Yeah, there are consequences to that. So that's the reason that the gallon of water is on there. One, it's good for your health, but two, it's going to help keep you or it's going to teach you to be mindful throughout the day of the things that you need to be accomplishing. The second task for the day, working out for 45 minutes. On the days that you come to CrossFit, it's a gimme, right? We all get our 45 minutes in whenever we come here. But not all of us do CrossFit every day, and probably shouldn't, because you need those, you know, if you're lifting heavy, you need those days off, you need those recovery days. And so what counts in your 45 minutes are those recovery days where you spend 45 minutes stretching or doing yoga or just going for a walk now that it's not 140 degrees outside. You know, you can do like non-CrossFit exercise activities, or if you know, are still working out at home and you're not coming back to the gym yet, you know, you can work out at home and do whatever your exercise there is. The important thing for this task is that it's, again, about time management. You know, setting aside this time every single day to take care of your physical health. You know, some days that's going to mean lifting heavy and building strength. Some days it's going to mean rolling out on a foam roller and recovering from the previous day of lifting heavy. But every day it's going to involve that time, so you build your day around that. Make sense? All right. The next one, reading 10 pages. Julie Doka. So this one, Harlequin romance novels are out. Where's Waldo books are out. The Scooby-Doo coloring book, though I'm a huge fan, it's out too. You have to read a book, a nonfiction book, you know, something just nonfiction, like it can be a biography about someone, it can be a personal development book, it can be how to build your own business book. The purpose is, you know, to reintroduce this concept that education ends whenever you leave school, and it doesn't. It really just begins at that point. You know, if you think back, you know, how much things have changed just in the last 10 years, you know, from a technology perspective. We're not doing anything the same that we were doing 10 years ago. And so we've had to grow with technology, and we should be growing our personal skills as well. You know, you only get one life, so, you know, how much can you accomplish? And, you know, how much can you teach yourself, and how much can you push yourself before that's done? So the reading part versus an audiobook, the reason that it is reading 10 pages, again, comes down to time management, because some of us read fast, some of us read slow. Either way, it takes time. And so the purpose of this is to, one, not only facilitate your personal development or help you find the time to learn something you've been putting off learning to do, but it's about finding that time during the day. So you've got to find the time to drink your water during the day. You've got to find the time to get in your 45 minutes of working out during the day. You've got to find the time to read your 10 pages during the day as well. And all of this just kind of starts circling around this concept of identifying what's important, right? And then everything that's not important gets discarded. You know, the 4-hour Netflix binge you no longer do because you don't have time for it. You know, 2 hours scrolling on Facebook, you know, looking at people's posts that piss you off, you don't have time for anymore. You know, looking at Instagram, you just start disregarding all of that stuff. And there's like the hidden benefit there. Like the more you disregard that stuff, the less crap that you read that's not important and sometimes not even true. And so that's not beating you up mentally. And so you don't feel like the whole world is just chaotic because you're not reading things that you can't control and you're spending your day focused on the things that you can control. If you don't know what to read, there's a list on the Facebook group of 21 books that I've read that have, I felt like of all the books that I read, like these were the top books that had some kind of influence on me. So that list is out there. I recommend any of those on there. And there's a lot of different authors out there. There's, you know, there's like classic books like Viktor Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning. There's some stuff that you wouldn't probably expect, like 50 Cent's The 50th Law, which is actually on personal development. Yeah, I don't know, drawing a blank on the others, but there's some cool books in that list if you don't know what to read. The final task or final checklist is your meal plan. And this ties back into being very similar to the nutrition challenges we've done in the past. However, you won't get a box to check for following your meal plan until we start week 2 of the challenge, because the first week we're just introducing a bunch of nutritional topics, you know, like calories and macros and what are macros and how many macros do I need and how does that tie into a meal plan and what kind of meal plans are there, and all this stuff to try and give you all the information that you need to pick which meal plan is going to work best for you. And then at the end of that week, you'll actually pick your own meal plan. And then starting on week 2 is when you'll be earning points for following that meal plan. So any meal plan works if you want to do paleo, if you want to do vegan or vegetarian or Atkins or slow carb or keto or whatever it is, as long as it's not like the Slim Jims and Cheetos diet is fair game. Along with the meal plan, there is no alcohol for 45 days, right? Except, but there's a but here, because remember I talked about one of the spinning plates was community, right? And it's how we get together and we share knowledge, you know, and we build our little tribe, and then we do this mentorship, you know, and we all help each other out. So I thought, how can I make that part of the challenge? And so the answer is alcohol is forbidden except one day a week. If you get together in person with members of the people doing the challenge, you can drink at that point. Just one day a week, though. You can't go like, oh, it's our daily meeting. Is it time for our 9 a.m. meeting again? No, so it is just one day a week. But if you do like alcohol and you're looking for a way to incorporate that in, the community aspect of that is there for you. If you don't like drinking alcohol, still please enjoy the community aspect. If nothing else, offer to take pictures and remind people the day after of why they should limit their drinking. All right. Oh, yeah, already covered that. Covered that one. Yeah, okay, that was it. It's a half hour. So, yeah, so the challenge starts on Monday. There is a link floating around the Facebook group. You can just go to that Google Sheet, add your name to it. Each day, the checkboxes will appear for that day. There will be daily emails coming out that have the topic for that day in it. So check your emails. There'll be a reminder in there with a link to the Google Sheet to track your things. At the end of each day, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not gonna happen at midnight, because at midnight, I am stone cold asleep. So probably like at 4:30 in the morning when I get up, the previous day is gonna be locked, right? So if you're gonna check your boxes, you have to do so by the end of the day. And you can't check the boxes until you've actually done tasks. So if I check there at like 7 in the morning and see you've already checked off the box for a gallon of water, I'm gonna call bullshit and remove the check. So by the end of the day, check your boxes. The sheet or that day becomes locked at the end of the day, and then the next day's task will appear there. At the end of week 1, you'll start getting the checkbox for following your meal plan. And then throughout the 45 days, there'll be some surprise checkboxes where you can earn extra points and do stuff that you may not have considered doing before. But all of those extra tasks are achievable by everyone here. There's not anything that's like stupid, like, you know, yeah, or, you know, meditate for 72 hours or just something like that. You know, everything there is achievable, and it's just a way for you to try something new that you may not try yourself, and earn extra points for the challenge. If you guys have questions, problems, whatever, you can ask any of the coaches. You can ask Bonnie, you can ask me via Facebook or email or in person, whatever works for you. That's all I had to say about that.